Hello and welcome to UT Health San Antonio Leadership Podcast, the show that profiles individuals in leadership positions at UT Health San Antonio. I'm your host, Celeste Rodriguez, and today we're going to talk about personal growth, success, and doing everything it takes to make lives better. My guest today is Mr. Gilbert Loredo, the Vice President for Governmental Relations with UT Health San Antonio. Mr. Loredo has been a part of the UT Health family for 8 years and received his Bachelor's of Arts and his Master's in Public Administration from St. Mary's University. He then received his JD from St. Mary's University School of Law. Join me for a one-on-one conversation with Gilbert as we talk about his path to leadership and his vision and values that shaped his career. Please welcome Mr. Gilbert Loredo. I am here today with Mr. Gilbert Loredo, and he is our Vice President of Governmental Relations. And I believe you've been in that role now for a year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I want all of our listeners to know, because I feel like what you do, it's a lot of behind-the-scenes action. It's a lot of making plays that we don't get to see here, on the front from day to day. But tell me, what do you do here at UT Health San Antonio?
Right. I am the Vice President of Governmental Relations. I come to the institution with 17 years of legislative experience from the Texas Senate and the Texas House. Before that, I was with the Commissioner's Court. When I was doing my master's degree, I was a Housing and Urban Development Fellow in the Masters of Public Administration program. That's when I found out that I really had a calling, so to speak.
A passion,
right? A passion to do government relations work. I just liked helping the community, and I figured with that kind of access, you could be impactful in helping to shape policy that's good for the community.
I agree 100%. It's almost direct. I also have a master's in public administration, and just kind of the connections that you're able to make with that, with putting policy and then getting to see it here at the institution directly impact people. Tell me about your team. Tell me about what you guys do and how many people do you supervise? Sure.
We've got a OGR. We're lean and mean. We've got a team of about 4 people. Mm-hmm. We've got professionals in local, state, and federal relations. Mm-hmm. So we work all the sectors of government. And I'm fortunate to have an assistant as well who kind of is learning this process with me. Sure. As the leader of the department. But there's a strong sense of community and a strong desire to serve. So that's my team. We serve the institution, and we're passionate about what we do.
And so for the normal person, that works day to day here at UT Health, the things that you have to do behind the scenes on the federal level, on the state level, on the local level to make sure everything is kind of flowing and jiving. What do you find the most interesting about what you guys do? What's your favorite part of it?
I think there's a lot of nuances that most folks don't understand, mm-hmm. but part of this process involves building relationships, mm-hmm. and relationships that have staying power. So I work continuously throughout the year. I mean, not just when we're in legislative session, or not just when we have council meetings or budget work sessions or anything like that. We are constantly developing those relationships so that we make sure that when we need access to, mm-hmm. a member, we have it, and we can get there and tell them and, advocate for what we need as an institution, or what we need to further the mission of educating the students here.
And I mean, really, you're the guy to go to. You're kind of like the background that a lot of people don't see, in my personal opinion, because a lot of the funding on the federal level, state level, even local level, right, you get to kind of build those relationships and then see it come into play in what we do every day. So thank you for what you do, because, like I said, I think a lot of people don't understand all the work on the relationship side that it goes into making this institution what it is.
No, it's absolutely imperative. You have to have the ability to, number one, build relationships, mm-hmm. number 2, maintain them, and number 3, be able to access them for the good of the work you're doing. So it's a constant process. We don't take very many days off, mm-hmm. so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
And our hours are not traditional. We don't work 8 to 5. I mean,
yeah, you're working around whenever
yes,
anyone else can.
That's right.
Yeah, I
and
totally understand.
We do quite a bit of advocacy with elected officials, and that may involve taking them to dinner, hosting them at an event,
mm-hmm. Meeting
having
with
them at our galas,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so it's reciprocal.
And are you a native Texan?
I am.
Where'd you grow up?
San Antonio, born and reared. Central Catholic graduate, St. Mary's undergrad, graduate in law. Yes.
All the way up. From what side of town did you grow up on?
I grew up on the west side of town near Our Lady of the Lake University, and then we moved when I was in 7th grade to the Jefferson area.
So San Antonio is your heart, right?
It is.
And can you tell me why you decided to stay in San Antonio?
I think more than anything, I knew that my other siblings, I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger sister. I knew my 2 older brothers were probably not going to stay home. And I was very close to my parents, so I wanted to make sure that I could help them. They both ran family businesses, so that was my first experience in getting involved in, education and serving the community. We did it through our family businesses.
And moving to my next question, what was your first job? Now, if you had a family business, it probably wasn't a first paid job.
Right.
But what was your first job? And tell me about your role.
My dad let me branch out right after high school. I said, I know the family business is always going to be here. I'm going to continue to help and doing what we need to do for the family. But I started with H-E-B. So I worked for H-E-B right after I graduated, and while I was starting my career at St. Mary's. The first 6 months, they promoted me. So I started.
What was your first job doing?
I was a bagger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a cashier, and then an assistant manager, and then after that, service manager. So all of that transpired pretty quickly. I kind of spent a lot of time working overtime, worked really, really hard, and I guess I got a little bit of notice from leadership and management, and was quickly, assigned to be a coverage manager. So when everybody else was out, I was in charge of the store. It was pretty neat.
No, yeah, H-E-B, I feel like a lot of people start at H-E-B and they really kind of grow there too, and it's another, really good local source that we have here.
It's a very good company to work for.
Yeah.
I relished the opportunity that I had there. I still have friends that are still with H-E-B.
Oh, I can believe it.
I worked with H-E-B all the way through. I finished law school. They helped me pay for my graduate school, so it's great.
And I'm sure we partner with H-E-B some now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's full circle for you.
Right.
And as far as your family business was concerned, did you know after graduating high school that you were going to do the family business, or that you weren't going to do family business? What made you want to pursue what you did professionally?
I think I knew that I was good at making relationships and building those relationships. I was able to take a lot of wisdom from the family business. My dad owned a garage and a service station, a bar, and there was a lot of
garage and a bar.
Yes.
Oh my God, the stories out
way
of
back
that
when
combination.
way back when, I think it was in 1976. It was featured in Texas Monthly. We had an ability. My grandfather started the business, and it was on Castroville and 24th. You could go to get your vehicle serviced, fill up the tank, and have your car washed, and sit on the patio in the back and have a beer. So that was a very unique experience. I got to meet a lot of folks, and I got a lot of wisdom imparted upon me from folks who were civil servants, worked at Kelly, that kind of stuff. Those were our clientele.
That's a great business model, though. I mean, because you're going to have to sit and wait.
Right. You
might as well get your favorite beer or cocktail or snack or whatever.
That's right.
So is it still up and running, or is it no?
They sold it. It was a family-owned venture, and my dad owned it along with his other siblings, but he managed it and took it over. So, but until we closed it, that was still where the bulk of my relationships and my connection to the West Side still continues to this day.
That's really cool, because at a young age you were probably exposed to a bunch of different people and having to kind of communicate and adapt really quickly. So I think that's a perfect setup for everything that you do now, even though, the setting was completely different. That's really cool.
And it was pretty unique because my dad's business, I mean, we catered a lot to the average person, the blue-collar workers. We did a lot of work with construction workers, plumbers, roofers, even engineers. I mean, people that were building stuff in the community. So I got a lot of blue-collar experience through that.
Yeah, that helps with relationship building as well. And regarding your current role, did you have a mentor, somebody that you kind of looked up to and you were like, no, that's what I want to do, or somebody that guided you along the way?
As mentors go, I think when I was recruited to come over here, I think Armando Diaz, my predecessor, was my mentor. I think we had a unique relationship that started when I was working for the legislature. He was at UT System. So those dynamics and those opportunities to help the community via higher education is something that I was fortunate in getting to learn from him. And then when he recruited me over here in 2015, I think he continued to help me grow, and he's done this. He did this for 50 years with the state, so he had a wealth of knowledge that he imparted upon me, and I think that's helped me a lot.
He did it for 50 years. I know he was here for a long time.
He had 50 years of state service.
Wow.
Much of his path was similar to mine. He started in county government, then state government. He was chief of staff for a state senator, as I was. I think looking back and reflecting upon it now, I think our paths are very similar.
And so what was it that brought you to UT Health San Antonio?
I think I've always had a desire to do good for the community. So I think it's something that, having gone to a Marianist institution, I think they impart serving your community. The mission is service to the community. So I think that's something that helped me desire to do more, and that's the way I was able to do it. I like community service. I've kind of tried to maintain some active opportunities through the community, whether it's, going to a walk or a run or something like that.
Supporting.
Not running in much these days, but just busy with the legislature.
Oh, I'm sure I'm sure you get your steps in going back and forth.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And what is your greatest passion, both professional and personal?
I think personally, I'm a outdoors enthusiast. I like to spend a lot of time in South Texas. I'm a hunter, fisherman. I like doing that stuff, and some of the relationships that I have are with folks that are from South Texas, so I've got unique opportunities to get out there.
Freshwater or saltwater?
Both.
Both? Yeah.
Both. Yeah, I like bass fishing. I like, deep sea fishing as well. Fishing for reds, anything like that is always fun.
I really want to learn how to fly fish at some point. So
I think that's something I would like to do too. I just keep hearing that it's expensive.
Well, and it's very, you have to go and practice, and there's only certain places you can do it. So it's been on my bucket list for a while, hopefully not too long. But
I've got some friends from law school that have been trying to get me to say yes, but I haven't done it yet.
And then professional, what is your passion?
Professionally, it's just working with elected officials. I think because I've got a unique skill set, and because I have a unique relationship with a lot of different folks, I get a lot of opportunities to kind of help do stuff in the community, and I work with them. It's pretty impactful when you can say to somebody, well, I know so-and-so, and maybe I can talk to him and see if they'll help, or him or her. And people just appreciate the fact that, somebody's worked on those relationships and can advocate for you in another forum if need be.
I agree 100%. I worked for the city of San Antonio. Was my first job. I worked for city council. And then I worked in the River Authority with engineers, and then I came to work healthcare, which, I'll have to tell you that story some other day. But all of the folks that I got to work with the most, I really liked working with the politicians the most, because they're regular people just like you and I, but they, have this passion for serving the community, and they get to make things happen as well, right? So I think that they're the kind of the coolest people that I've ever had the chance to work with,
right.
Politicians for sure. So I'd have to agree with you. And how would you describe your leadership style?
I think I'm a very hands-on type of leader. I don't ask folks to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do. I try to make sure that I guide them. I don't advocate for, and I really have great disdain for micromanagers, so I don't want to be one. So I don't hold people's hands. I kind of guide them and, make sure that they're getting the process. If I see that they're not understanding something, then I'll try to pull them aside to correct it. That's the best way to do it.
And throughout your time, what's the most important leadership lesson that you've learned, and how has it proven to be invaluable?
I think most of the leadership skills and traits and styles, I think I had a political mentor, and that was Commissioner Paul Elizondo. I think I learned so much from him in the brief time that I worked with him, but he was a constant figure and a constant presence in my life. I know that he taught me the ins and outs of politics, and I do credit him with my success. I mean, he was the main driver for me to go to law school.
Really?
And he told me one day, he says, there's so many people in this courthouse. So many of them are lawyers. You can be a lawyer. So just go. If you want to go, and go do it. So I heeded his wisdom, and worked for him for 2 years to comply with the requirement of the HUD fellowship. You had to do 2 years of public service because of the education they were giving you, or the funding they were giving you for your education. And then after that, he took me aside and, made some calls, and we got the political powers that be that had influence to write recommendation letters and help me get there. But most of the process was guided by him, so I credit him with that. And I think what he taught me more than anything was, your success is going to be based on your own trust, your ability to build trust, your credibility, and then the relationships you maintain. So I think he was way sage in advance of his years. He was very smart.
Yeah, and he served for a long time, didn't he?
Did.
How long?
Probably upwards of about 50 years himself. Yes, he was a legislator, then a commissioner, ran for judge, didn't get there, came back as commissioner, and he was a senior member of the court when he passed away. So he was a powerhouse.
He was a force.
Yeah,
he was definitely.
And a St. Mary's alum.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Should have harassed him a little bit more.
Central grad and St. Mary's alum. Right. Music
the connection,
scholar.
Really,
Yes.
The connection.
Yeah.
A music scholar. Yeah, I know. I remember when I worked at city council, he was always just such a force and such a powerhouse too.
That's right.
And what he said carried weight.
Right.
Which is really cool. And so what made you go to law school? And did you practice at all?
I have not practiced. I stayed in government relations. I was one of those folks that decided that, I wanted to go to law school to make myself more marketable. I used to work for Judge Cryer at the courthouse, and, there was a lot of opportunities to see that you didn't have to actually practice law to do good things. But the education, it's yours. Nobody's going to take that away from you, and you can use that to your benefit. So I've used it.
And what project in your career are you most proud of?
I think it's actually a couple of things. I mean, in 2019, we developed and worked with the other health-related institutions to create the mission-specific formula. And that was guiding us. It was helping us with research, and it was a mechanism that was developed to start getting more investments from the state and partnering with them to say that if we bring more research and if we attract more grants, can the state partner with us and match some of that competitiveness and match some of that return on the investment when we are doing the work? And they partnered with us, so that's been rewarding. We didn't have it funded for a couple of years or a couple of sessions, but this year we've seen the funding levels grow, and I think this was the first return on the investment, so to speak, at that time. And then the other one has been capital construction. So previously they were called TRBs, but capital construction, that just helps us to ensure that we continue to have the resources and the facilities to continue to do all the hard work that's being done here and the amazing research that's going on. I think when we got the most recent one, which they, I guess, broke ground on day before yesterday.
Which one was that one?
The second, the brain health.
The brain health.
That was a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
And why was that such a big deal from your perspective?
I think there's been so many folks that I know that have had personal connections to either dementia or Alzheimer's or some sort of neurodegenerative disease, and I've seen the effect it's had on those folks. And I consider most of those folks friends, so I thought this is one way to move the ball forward and help in that regard.
And that's huge. And even like, so on the capital construction, all those capital projects, do you also play a role in securing kind of any of the locations for like the multi-specialty research hospital or the new Kyle Seal? Like, what's your role in making sure that those kind of run smoothly?
Well, we just coordinate that. I think most of the executive leadership is done by Dr. Henrich, and then our COO, Andrea Marks. I mean, we have a unique relationship with the Bexar County Medical Foundation, so I think all of that stuff works together and in tandem. So I think we've got visionary leadership that will continue to propel us in the right direction.
Awesome. And you already have the relationship, so
we do.
As long as we keep those folks happy. So tell me about a challenging time, either professionally or personally, and how did you overcome this?
You know, every legislative session is challenging. You know, I worked for Senator Vandepute as her chief of staff since '99, and up until she ran for mayor in 2014. But the one thing that I knew that I came with my eyes wide open is she said, either you're going to, when I started working for her, she said, you're either going to love the legislative process or you're going to hate it. There's no in between. You're going to either love it, it's going to get in your blood, and you're going to want to do it, and you're going to want to continue to do it, or you're going to want out as soon as session's over. I was, able to turn that commitment and passion into something that I like. I think it's formidable to be able to have the opportunity to work with these folks in legislative office, develop some longstanding relationships, and I know that those folks continue to help me look good. I'm very appreciative of the fact that some of the tasks and some of the projects that leadership envisions here, we're able to put into practice and work through the process to get their support and funding if necessary.
And pushing through to really make it happen. Yeah, because once we see it here at the end, there's maybe years, right, that went into kind of the back and forth, compromises, this works, take this out, add this, reduce that. So again, thank you for the work that you guys do, because like I said, your group is small. They're mighty, right? They're mighty, but it is a small group. I was always so surprised at how small our governmental relations office is. Now, what advice would you give a UT Health employee who's interested in pursuing career advancement with the university?
I think we have a unique opportunity here at UT Health to continue some of our educational aspirations. So I think, being afforded that opportunity, I think our employees should take advantage of that as much as possible. I know that, life is, it's short in comparison with the learning. I think I continue to still learn something every day. I'm fortunate in the fact that I can kind of mingle with some folks that will teach me something almost every day. So I relish that and I like it.
And Gilbert, what is your best time management tip?
I think the one thing that's helped me is, set goals, develop timelines, and don't deviate from them. I mean, if you can envision it and put it down on paper, you can make it happen. So I work with that constantly. I know that one of the challenges, I think, for the department in general is to, folks across the institution probably knew there was a governmental relations office, but a lot of folks didn't know what it did.
Right.
So to kind of distinguish ourselves, we've increased the visibility. We do a lot more community engagement.
That's great.
To help the other departments and help support the university and the growth and development. So we'll continue to do that.
And then I see y'all's updates every now and then as well, kind of go out massively. So if there's anything we can do on our end on the Staff Advisory Council, let me know.
Absolutely.
We can push that out. Now, what advice would you give the younger Gilbert?
I thought about that a little bit earlier, and I was thinking, the advice that I have now is, pretty much the same, and I think I'm seeing the results of what I would tell the younger me is just keep working hard and things will pay off. So
Keep working hard.
yeah.
I like that one. Now, if you were not the vice president of governmental relations, what would you be doing? What's your dream job?
You know, I think when I decide to retire from the state, I think I'll probably end up in Austin. I think there's a wealth of opportunities there to continue to make significant impacts on public policy. There's
Are you going to run for office?
no, I think I'll probably be on the lobby side of it. I think I'm
Oh.
better behind the scenes than in elected office. I think there's already a lot of folks out there that can do some good work, and with the right support, they can continue to do the good work. So I think I'd probably be in the lobby and kind of help some of those folks. I kind of advise some of my friends informally, and I think they appreciate that, and I think I would be able to do something stronger and better in lobbying by
All
helping
right.
the community.
So you're going to continue to work behind the scenes
Yes,
and make things happen, and no one's going to even know you were there, huh?
that's kind of my MO. Yes, I like that.
Okay, well, thank you. That concludes our questions, and now we move on to our rapid fire set. And what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue, of course you're going to say that because you went to Central, right? And you can't say a button or anything like that. No, just
Right.
kidding. Favorite food?
I love Mexican food, carne guisada in particular.
You know what? I may have to agree with you. Tommy's has a really good carne guisada with cheese taco.
Right.
The with cheese,
Right.
it just sets it apart. And your favorite movie?
Debated that a little bit internally, and I think it's Top Gun. And I think the
Gun.
real motivation for it being my favorite is because it's so competitive in its nature
Right.
and the whole thing. I do root for the underdog all the time.
Top Gun may be one of those American classics.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And your dream vacation?
I think we spent a lot of time going to Mexico during the summer because my parents had businesses, so we'd spend some time in Mexico. I developed a lot of connections because we have family still in Monterrey and all over Mexico with the beach in the Pacific and the Caribbean. Like I said, I like deep sea fishing.
So you're like
that's
anywhere you can fish.
Anywhere I can go to a beach and anywhere I can fish. Yep.
Perfect. And what's your dream car?
A 63 Corvette.
A 63. Why a 63?
63 was the year I was born. And the Corvette, at that time, there used to be a gentleman that brought it into the service station that I just always fawned over that car.
Really?
It
The
was
one that got away,
beautiful.
huh?
The one, yes.
What
And
color?
it was blue.
It was blue. I was like, okay, blue.
It was blue. One
Alright.
of those kind of aqua blues, not really I guess whatever that Chevrolet color was at the time, but it was a very nice blue.
Well, all right. I hope you get your dream car one day. And if you could be any kitchen appliance, what would you be?
I think I'd be a can opener, but not the electric kind. I think I'm kind of more fortified in steel, so I kind of want to do more. It's kind of a manual process, so
Yeah.
I'd rather be a can opener.
You still
'cause
want to
I
get
think
your
you can
hands.
use it.
You still want to
for-
get your hands dirty and splash stuff all over the place a
Ye-
little bit.
You can do whatever you need to do. You can use it as a different tool. So you can do.
That one, I mean, that's underrated because it's super essential.
Yep.
If you've ever been on a camping trip and you forgot a can opener, that one is definitely an essential kitchen appliance, just like you are.
Yeah, and I thought about it a little harder because my dad was a World War II veteran, right? So he used to have that little one that they used to give the Army folks. That's a little square one with a
That
little
has
blade.
the bottle opener on the end. Yes.
And he always had one of those on his keychain, always. So I've got one too on my keychain.
Really?
Yeah.
So everywhere you go, you have it just in case
I have
need a can.
something that's probably not intended to only open cans, but I can use it for a lot of other things. A little screwdriver at the end. You don't have a dime or something like that, you can use it.
Bottle opener. Yeah, all
correct.
sorts of things. Well, Gilbert, thank you so much for being here today on our Leadership Podcast. It was an honor to get to talk to you, and I know I harassed you for months to get you on here. And so I thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, and I'm sorry it took so long. It's just that Austin doesn't stop for much.
Oh, I know.
so
You're a
we
busy
just
man.
gotta keep going.
You're definitely a busy man, and I appreciate that. And like I said again, thank you for all the work that you and your office do, because it really matters a lot to us.
Absolutely. Team effort.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for taking time to listen to today's podcast, brought to you by the Staff Advisory Council in partnership with Marketing and Communications. Find us on My UT Health and submit ideas for future episodes. I'm Celeste Rodriguez, and remember, the only one that can reach their full potential and create a better tomorrow is you. Thank you so much for listening.